Hi, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your February 16th, 2022 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and clear the energy space, I want to thank each and every one of you for your healing energy and your kind wishes as I'm healing from this concussion. So thank you all so very much. Now let's clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into the safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Cancer be affected by the February 16th, 2022 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Ooh, okay. These three. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. So we have a bit of a different setup here. Let me know in the comment box below what you think of it. At the front, we have our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The back is our emotional self. And the right-hand side is the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have Justice, which is Libra energy. We have ourselves coming through, Cancer. We're represented by the Chariot in the major arcana, by the cups in the minor arcana. So this is going to be very powerful for us. Also, we're ruled by the moon. So full moons, new moons, the changing phases of the moons and phases of the moon is just something that impacts us more so than it does others. So this is going to be a very powerful time for us, most definitely. And then we have the star. So Aquarius energy coming through. So if we have Libra energy or if we have Aquarius energy within our natal chart, that comes through very powerfully here at our root and as the root of our personality. Then we have our inner self. We have the Devil, which is Capricorn energy. We have the Nine of Swords, and we have the Eight of Coins. There is a sense here that we feel like we're running in a circle. It's kind of like we're on a hamster wheel. Like we're running and running and running and getting nowhere. And yet Spirit is saying that's not the case. We just have to look at the binds that are holding us. Look at what we might be holding on to that isn't right for us, but we think, oh my gosh, this should work because it works for everybody else, or this is what everybody else is doing at this time, and we need to let go of those bonds. If we have Capricorn energy within our natal chart, that's coming through very powerfully within our inner self. Capricorn energy is also our sister sign. So as sisters, it can bring out the absolute best in us or the absolute worst. So do be aware of that. Now let's see our chakra energy. Not our chakra energy, I do apologize. Our emotional energy. We have the Nine of Wands and we have the Six of Cups. Something from the past is going to be coming up during this time that we're really going to have to look at and kind of take a little bit more seriously than we were taking it before. But we also need to be very mindful of letting somebody else's narrative try to take over our own narrative. So that's going to be very important. In the public arena, we have the High Priestess and we have the Six of Cups. So the High Priestess is the veil being lifted from our eyes. We see things so much more clearly, and it can have to do with that thing that we're going through emotionally here, that thing from the past that comes forward with the Six of Cups at the heart. The Six of Cups is coming through again now here in the public arena. Something from the past comes forward, and we're going to be bringing kind of like a lot of baggage to it, or something that makes us think of the past or what we have gone through that was maybe more traumatic than we had thought it was. So we're going to have a very kind of intense, reaction to it. So be aware of that. Now we have our energy to be mindful of. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. And this is the Queen of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have to be mindful of letting kind of our tempers get the best of us, which sounds like a funny thing to say. I laugh as I say it for Cancer, because Cancer, we're kind of even tempered. But this is going to be a time with the full moon in Leo that if we're born on the cusp with Leo, or even if we're not, that energy kind of pulls at us a little bit, and we're going to want to lead with fire, lead with tenacity, lead with this intensity. So just being very aware of that is going to be very important for us. Also, manipulation around work. Like, you have to do this in order for this to happen. It has to be like this in order for us to move forward this way. Just being aware of that is going to be very, very important, because you're going to kind of need to nip that in the bud. Now let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. And this is the inner child. I love it when the inner child comes up. This is the heart chakra. It means that our hearts are really telling us to open our arms up to the child that we once were. And it doesn't matter if we've had the best childhood ever, or, a so-so one, or, a traumatic one. To be able to open our arms up, our hearts up to the child that we once were, and let that child run into our arms, and telling that child, I love you, I will always love you, I will always care for you, I'm always here for you. That is going to be so powerful for us during this time that it can be a bit life-changing. It really can. It can really help heal a lot of the trauma that we carry with us just as human beings. That's what we do. We carry the past forward as if it's going to lay down the bricks of our future. And it can if we keep on living the same traumas, the same hurts. So being aware of that is going to be very important to us. Now we have our moon energy. Our moon energy is in Leo. Leo here, it says the full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in the way. Don't let the ego take over. The full moon is all about putting a spotlight on ourselves. Now, we're not as affected by other things as we are by the moon, because the moon is opposite the sun. We are ruled by the sun. So when it comes to the moon, it's intense for us, because it's that opposite force to us. It's like this beautiful dance. It's this beautiful partner that we are with. So here, Leo is ruled by the sun. We are ruled by the moon. Yes. So that's what Spirit is saying. It's that beautiful dance that we are with the sun energy coming forward from Leo, the moon energy coming forward from us. We're not as affected by everything else, but the sun opposite the moon opposite the sun, that is quite powerful for us. Now with the full moon, it has us focusing on our family, our home, our relationships, and it also really has us focusing on opposite forces within our lives. So it can be work and it can be home. It can be wants and it can be needs. It can be our wants and other people's wants, our needs and other people's needs. It's going to be whatever kind of pulls us in two very distinct directions. And so it can even be procrastination and needing to get things done. So just knowing that opposite forces come into focus in our lives and are calling us to really pay attention to it. It can be, being cluttered and yet wanting everything to be neat. So just really looking at that and knowing that it's going to be the opposites that come forward during this time. This is a time when we are seeking balance, and we need to listen to our inner voice and what Spirit is guiding us to, meaning that we're going to be drawn to something's going to keep on coming up on our feed, or something's going to keep on coming up in our lives, and we're going to need to address it, or else we feel like we're completely out of sorts. Now this is a very positive and promising moon. This is the first full moon of 2022 that is not during a retrograde, which is absolutely amazing, because we not only have a whole bunch of Mercury retrogrades. I think there's like 4 Mercury retrogrades. I'm not exactly sure, but there's 8 shadow periods to go along with those Mercury retrogrades. Yeah, that would be 8 as I sit there and figure it out. My brain is working just a little bit slow. So this is going to be a time where everything starts kind of moving smoothly within our words, within ourselves, and that's going to be really important for us. That's something, Cancer, that we absolutely enjoy and that we absolutely desire within our lives. Mars is conjunct Venus and Vespa in Capricorn. This very much affects our inner selves because we have the Capricorn energy coming forward. So here it also affects our rooted selves because Libra is ruled by Venus. So that's going to be very important for us. Mars is conjunct, as I already said, Mars is conjunct Venus and Vespa in Capricorn. This brings a go-getter, get things done attitude to the table. It's like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm going after. We have very clear insight into things. This alignment is in harmony with Uranus and Neptune. This means that the energy is very concentrated around what we want and what we need to move forward towards our dreams and towards our own greater good, which is really quite comforting. Neptune rules visual communication as well as represents our dreams and what we hope to be able to become. And remember, Neptune is known as the Lord of the unseen world. And this means that by bringing the unseen world into reality, we start to live the dreams of Neptune. We start to live what it is we deeply desire. Now, Uranus is the innovative, unpredictable, imaginative, creative, idealistic energy that moves us forward. It's like, okay, this is what we need to get this thing. This is the wildfire. This is the things that kind of, sprout us up, that move us in a direction that really is quite extraordinary. This energy is of the creative and scientific genius. This is the energy of looking outside of the box and really heading towards remarkable things. Now, it's also important to know that whenever we have a full moon, this affects the lunar nodes. The north and the south lunar nodes are activated by the full moon. And the lunar nodes are known as the nodes of fate. So with the south lunar node, it brings the energy of the past, including our past lives, into our consciousness. It's kind of like, this is our story, this is our history, while the north lunar node is our present and what we want to be accomplishing, what we need to be accomplishing within our lives. So that really does come forward. Jupiter is in Pisces, and Jupiter represents success. It brings us optimism. It being in Pisces, they just feed off each other so very well. It brings us optimism, enthusiasm, and there's an air about being able to accomplish what we once thought was absolutely impossible. So having that energy guide us forward and being a part of us during this time is really quite extraordinary. We have the Libra energy at our root. We have the Venus energy at our root. This is our heart. This is what we need to be balanced emotionally for us. This is why, Spirit says that justice is all about discernment. It's not about being just to everybody else. It's not about the rules that are written up and the way that we have to move forward just like this or just like that. It is a sense of, this is the energy I need in my life and this is the energy I don't. This is the way I need to move forward for me, and this is the way that I cannot handle this energy in my life, type of thing for me. So we're looking at things to bring in the balance as we embrace this moon, as we embrace our subconscious and our conscious, as we look at our fears and our doubts and our discoveries of self and what we want. It brings us to this place where we have the star, the heightened Uranus energy, right? Because Uranus rules Aquarius. We have that heightened energy of that creative scientific genius, of that person who thinks outside of the box. And so while we're looking at things during this time, it's like, okay, I'm going to be thinking of things that are kind of extraordinary. And that's going to be part of our ordinary during this time, to kind of push the envelope, look at things outside of the box, to step outside of our comfort zone, even during this time, as we're looking at our dreams, as we're looking at what we're discovering, as we're looking at what we're becoming. And as we do so, we're going to be looking at inwardly what has been holding us back. So with the devil, it's that mesmerizing, kind of enchantment of the vampire over the person. Think of the old, kind of vampire films that were out where the person would just be mesmerized and they would just come walking through the mist or the graveyard to the castle. So here, it's like, what has us under the spell? What has us mesmerized? What do we think, oh, it needs to be like this, it needs to be like that? But it's really just chaining us. It's chaining us down in a way that we never had anticipated. And so this is going to be something that is very powerful for us to be able to recognize during this time. These are the chains that if I'm only successful in this way, if I move forward in this way, if I have the conventional life this way, or even the unconventional life this way, what is it that I think I need to have within my life that is actually causing me more agita than it is causing me beauty, than it is letting in the beauty. It's causing me more grief than it is causing me blessings. And this becomes a time where we look at our worry, our doubt, our fear. If I'm not moving forward like this, if I'm not doing it like that, then it's obviously not the right way. And that's going to be something that we battle with during this time, because we're working so hard to be able to accomplish what we want, to be able to step through that door. The Eight of Coins, the Eight of Pentacles, is our hard work and our dedication and our determination. And yet we've been working towards something that we don't really want. It's something here that it's like if we stopped and looked at it, not through the lens of everybody else's eyes, but just through our own vision of self. It's like, I don't want this. This doesn't make me happy. It's kind of like having that car that everybody's envious of, but it doesn't bring us any joy. It's having that zip code that everybody wants, but we're not happy within it. It's looking at it and it's saying, okay, what do I need? And the thing is that is so important is that we look at what we need and what we want, and we usually base it off of what everybody else desires. Inwardly, we're going to be starting to break the chains that have been holding us down, of society, of others' expectations, and even of our own expectations, and starting to say, where do I need to be for me? What do I need to discover for me? What opens up the door for me? So often we're told we have to lead an extraordinary life. If everybody leads an extraordinary life, a life of Hollywood, a life of rock stars, a life that is so over the top, if everybody leads that life, it's just a normal life then. There's nothing extraordinary about it, except the massive amount of debt you can get yourself in. But what about a simple life? What about a quiet life? What about a life where you connect with who you truly are? And the bliss starts to come in because of that. Because we actually listened to ourselves. We saw our dreams. We moved ourselves forward. As the moon changes its phases, Cancer, so do we change our own faces, our own way of looking at things, our own way of thinking of things, our own way of becoming. And it moves us to the Nine of Wands. Yes, we can feel battle weary and wounded during this time, but we're also looking at the past and saying, what is it that I'm trying to prove that just doesn't have the same meaning it ever did? Or if it ever did have that meaning at all. And so we look at what we are becoming, and we're looking at what we want, and we're looking at what we need, and we're starting to speak to ourselves very openly, very honestly about the way that we're moving forward, about what's important to us and what isn't. And that becomes the game changer. And as that becomes the game changer, the veil is lifted from our eyes. Here it says secrets and dreams and wisdom and inner voice and spiritual world. But the veil is lifted from our eyes, and we start to see not only ourselves, but the world around us in a way that is uncomfortable, in a way that is open and honest and real and, not hidden behind the pretty lies of everybody else. And it brings us to this place where it's like, oh, okay, that's where I stand. Oh, okay, that's what I want. Okay, that's what's important to me. And as we embrace this wisdom, as we see this, we start to see ourselves. We start to honor ourselves. We start to have the door opened to us. And as the veil is lifted, a reality comes in that can be overwhelming again at first, but it's calming and it's centering. Because remember, in old tarot cards, the high priestess was known as the female pope. It was known as this beacon of power. And the high priestess I always think of, because in the medieval world, the Pope was the most powerful being. Now, whether you believe in Pope Joan or not, that is irrelevant. What we have here is his power coming forward. And I always think of the high priestess as the Oracle of Delphi. The Oracle of Delphi, who people traveled from all over the ancient world to hear what she had to say, to hear the riddle of their future, which is how our future is given to us, in riddles and rhymes that we decode as we live, as we become, as doors open to us that we never realized could open to us. And as we start to see that we are not just simply our past, the Six of Cups comes through again, and it says harmony, childhood, recollections, harmony, childhood, recollections. We are finding harmony as we recall our childhood. And it's harmony in letting go. It's harmony in not dwelling in the past, because the past is pain. No matter how beautiful the past is, it can never be recreated. And so we honor that. We acknowledge that. And we start to move forward with that honored acknowledgement, with that reverent care for our story, for the South Lunar Node that brings not only the story of our childhood, but the story of our past life, of ourself forward. And it says, this is your history. How are you going to learn from it? How are you going to be guided by it? Now let's see what the moon has to say for herself. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. So at our root, we have the full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming, Cancer. That's absolutely beautiful. And it brings us resilience. We have had to carry for so long that which, is now being revealed to us, that which we are now getting the answers to. We have built resilience, even if we didn't want it. If we might have been perfectly happy with things being easier, it being an easier road that we got to walk down. Our inner self, says the full moon in Aquarius, show the world the real you, which is terrifying to be able to do. The void, the darkness, and looking into the darkness, looking into the dark moon, looking into the darkness of the self and what we desire and what we want and what we need, and seeing who we truly are for ourselves and for the world to see. It brings us to our lunar emotional self. And it's the new moon in Cancer, which is us. Here it says, you and your loved ones are safe, which Cancer, we desperately love and desperately need. And it brings us to the extremes. It brings us to knowing that we experience the extremes of emotions, to be able to bring harmony into our lives, to be able to have things safe and secure. But the extremes come in and make us worry, make us doubt, make us fear, give us joy and jubilance. But we have to be mindful of the extremes taking over. We then have our lunar public arena self. And it says, have faith in your dreams, self-love. Loving ourselves, loving who we are, as we have faith in what we are discovering, what we are seeing, what we need, is so important to us. Our subconscious Luna message is realization that we are the lock, not the lock, we are the key to the lock, that we are unlocking so much for ourselves. And then the full moon in Cancer, which is us shining through not only as the new moon, but also the full moon. And it says a personal issue reaches resolution as we unlock the door, as we find so much more knowledge than we realize, as we embrace and walk forward in a way that is really quite extraordinary for us. It moves us to the subconscious energy that we need to be mindful of. And that is the Lord. That is Aries energy. We need to be mindful of being bullied by somebody who thinks they are older and wiser and know better, and that we just kind of have to listen to them. They don't have to be older or wiser. They just think that they are this authority figure that we absolutely have to listen to. So just be aware of that. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy, which is nurturing. This is the Earth Star Chakra, located 6 inches below our feet. We are nurturing the person that we are. We are nurturing the person that we are becoming. We are nurturing the person that we were. We are finding the way and seeing the way that the Earth nurtures us, and that our connection to the Earth nurtures us. It moves us to our subconscious rooted energy, which is Leo, which is the connection with the full moon in such a powerful way. That's why you came through for a moment there, like Leo and Cancer were getting confused, and that's because the Leo energy is so powerful for you guys. The Leo energy here is moving us so far forward in strength and determination, but it's the strength of compassion. It's the strength of the heart. It is the strength of love. As the moon sits opposite the sun, as we sit opposite the energy of the sun, Cancer, we start to see the strength of our quiet, gentle way of being, of the way that the heart opens, of the way that we connect through love and compassion. And that becomes tremendously powerful. And that is tremendously powerful. But now we start to accept it and see it. It moves us to our subconscious inner self. And that is justice once again. Libra energy coming through, a balancing of the scales, a cutting through doubts and fears and negativity, being discerning about the energy that we let in to our lives and the way that we speak and, what we demand of ourselves. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self, and that is the Knight of Swords. We're being told to be mindful of rushing into things. And as we're being told to be mindful of rushing into things, we're also being told that we can become the hero of our own story, cutting through doubts and fears and negativity, rising higher and higher into awakening and higher energy vibration as we, release the poison of the world that has tried to mold our heart, that has tried to keep us down. And now we awaken a part of us that has been slumbering for a really long time. That part of us that wants to connect, that wants to, be the hero of our story, that knows so much more than we even realized. It brings us to our subconscious public arena self. And it's the wheel, not the wheel of fortune, it is the hangman. And as we're embracing the hangman, it is saying here, waiting and rebirth, sacrifice and reflection. And as we are waiting to be reborn, we sacrifice and we reflect on the road that we've walked, on the place that we want to be, and the doors that are opening for us and that aren't. And we start to step into our power, our instinct, what we want. We're looking at the world differently. As Odin got his knowledge in Norse mythology through hanging upside down from the world tree, and how he lost an eye to be able to see clearly, we're going to find that we sacrifice in order to see so much more than we realize. The hurts, the pains, the disappointments, they weren't for nothing. It's giving us greater insight. And we're seeing us move forward in a way that is really quite extraordinary. All right, Cancer. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power, the intensity, the promise of this full moon, and the promise and intensity and beauty of ourselves as we are reflected in the energy of this moon. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Cancer, and may you have a blessed moon.